Our next witness is Edward Norton, who is an accomplished actor and native son of Boston. But he is here in the role of trustee of Enterprise Community Partners. Enterprise developed the first national green building program focused entirely on affordable housing. Mr. Norton has been environmentally active for many years and recently worked to improve the carbon footprint of the filming process in his upcoming movie, The Incredible Hulk, Green Monster indeed. So we actually have one in Boston at Fenway Park, a Green Monster. And now we have one out in Hollywood that is working to serve as an example for other movie makers. Mr. Norton, we're really honored to have you here with us today. Whenever you are ready, please begin.
Thanks. Chairman Markey and all the members of the committee, it's a great opportunity to testify on the subject. As you said, I'm testifying on behalf of the Enterprise Community Partners. Enterprise, for those of you who don't know, is a national nonprofit organization whose mission is to ensure that all low-income people in the United States have the opportunity for fit and affordable housing. Enterprise provides financing and expertise to community-based organizations for affordable housing development and other community revitalization activities. We've invested more than $8 billion and created 240,000 affordable homes, strengthened communities through hundreds of cities across the country. And Enterprise also works very closely on a bipartisan basis with policymakers at all levels of government to develop solutions to low-income housing needs. Now, I feel like I need to give a little context here. You gave some, if you happen to occasionally go to the movies during the summer recess, then you're probably wondering why I'm here. But Enterprise was founded by my grandfather, James Rouse, and his wife, Patty, in 1982. My grandfather was a very well-known urban philosopher, developer, planner, and a champion of American cities. He was fond of saying that to build a better city is to work at the heart of a civilization, and I've always tried to keep thinking of that. After retiring from his career in commercial development, he spent the remainder of his life committed to expanding opportunities for low-income people, and he was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom for this work in 1995 by President Clinton. He was a great inspiration to me. He's the main reason that I'm here, and to all who knew him as well. Enterprise reflects his convictions today and his entrepreneurialism and his innovation. I worked for Enterprise for a few years right after college while I was moonlighting in a theater, and when the moonlighting started to become a paying occupation, I went on the board. So I've been on the board since 2000, and my principal interest and contribution has been to push Enterprise to lead on the issue of greening the affordable housing development model. So hopefully now nobody will write this off as Chairman Markey pulling cameras into his committee room, and you'll indulge me in the actual testimony. Obviously, all of you are well aware, as everyone here at the table has been saying, of the impact that residential and commercial buildings have on the greenhouse gas production. We're very pleased that the committee's focused on buildings as a part of its leadership on climate change and energy issues generally, and we feel at Enterprise that what we can speak to specifically are the unique aspects of affordable housing in this context, which is often left out of these conversations. I think a lot of people assume that green practices are the provenance of commercial real estate, and that's absolutely not true, and we're determined to include affordable housing in this conversation. Enterprise recently published a white paper laying out a comprehensive case for connecting affordable housing to climate change and energy needs and solutions through a federal policy platform called Bringing Home the Benefits of Energy Efficiency to Low-Income Households. The paper is enclosed in our written testimony, so all of you have it, and I'll address it only briefly. Enterprise primarily works to bring benefits of sustainable development to low-income people on a fairly unprecedented scale through something that we started to call the Green Communities Initiative. Through Green Communities, Enterprise is providing funds and expertise to build and rehabilitate for-sale houses and rental apartments that are healthier for low-income residents and more energy efficient and better for the environment. Green Communities homes are built according to our Green Communities criteria, which before LEED even was the first national framework of standards and practices for green affordable housing. We've invested over $570 million in this initiative and have built 11,800 affordable green homes in 28 states as of now. We feel we've gained a couple of key insights through the work. The first is that green and affordable are not just intertwined, but that they are, in fact, inextricably linked agendas, insofar as low-income people and communities suffer disproportionately from housing challenges, energy costs, and effects of climate change. The good news is that we can now demonstrate very conclusively that those agendas to create and build green and meet affordable housing demand can be one and the same. We can show that the costs are only about 2 to 4% higher, and that this premium tends to come down for developers as they gain experience. We can show that most of the marginally higher costs attributable to these measures generate financial savings for low-income families, to whom those savings definitely matter the most. And in other words, those techniques do pay for themselves in an affordable context, and usually very quickly. We can show that greening affordable development at scale does result in measurable improvements in health and reduced healthcare costs, especially asthma. That greening affordable housing at scale reduces carbon emission very measurably. And the evidence to back these assertions is included also in the written statement that we've given you. The other key insight that we've derived pursuing these goals is that federal leadership is essential, and that a national commitment to this agenda in affordable housing is sorely lacking. We need national bipartisan commitment to this effort. Our 10-point plan lays out key elements of what we think that commitment should entail, and it's included in our statement. But in the broad strokes, a federal commitment of $5 billion a year over 10 years could deliver huge benefits across the board. 25 to 40% energy savings in up to 25 million residential units, up to 50 million tons of carbon dioxide emissions avoided, and hundreds of thousands of green jobs created annually. This federal commitment is relatively modest if one considers that HUD, as Mayor Newsom mentioned, currently spends more than $4 billion annually just to pay utilities in very inefficient government-assisted properties. $5 billion is a very small share of the projected revenues that would be generated under proposals to curb greenhouse gas emissions currently under consideration in Congress and supported by all three major presidential candidates. The solutions are definitely available, but there is no more time, we feel, for small-scale incremental progress. We think that policymakers need to act with urgency and seriousness of purpose. For starters, Congress just simply should not allow taxpayer funds to support building of any kind that does not meet a more demanding minimum standard for energy efficiency and indoor air quality and lower carbon emissions. To wrap it up, I mean, to make a more personal statement, I'm sure that many of you saw, as I did, the recent paper that was submitted by NASA's chief climatologist, James Hansen. I met him with Congressman Markey the other day. The abstract attached to it argued that, and I'll quote him, "If humanity wishes to preserve a planet similar to that on which civilization developed and on which life on Earth is adapted, paleoclimate evidence and ongoing climate change suggest that CO2 will need to be reduced from its current 385 parts per million to at most 350 parts per million." And that is a tough diagnosis, and it's a monumental challenge. So the significance of these issues that you're debating really can't be overstated. I think we talked about this at the Earth Day rally the other day. I think that every generation is called on in different ways to serve a higher purpose. I think I'm the youngest person at this table, and I wanted to comment that my grandparents' generation rose up, faced the Great War against fascism and totalitarianism. My parents' generation carried the torch of civil rights and social equality. I have very little doubt, personally, I'm 38 years old, I have very little doubt that the legacy of my generation is going to hinge on how we respond to these revelations that we're not living sustainably and that we're altering the environment. And I feel very confident in saying that my generation and even those younger than us have truly embraced this as our cause and that we're ready to rise to this challenge. But bluntly, we are not yet running things. You are. And this is a problem because the scale of this challenge is going to require bold action on a national level. And our generation does not want to be told to go shopping right now. We are ready to sacrifice as our parents and grandparents did. We want to do nation building, but we want to start at home by playing our part in creating the next prosperous American century. But somebody has got to call on us to do this by defining this as a test of our American character. much as Lincoln and Franklin Roosevelt and John F. Kennedy and other great leaders did in their time. And we need it clearly articulated as a national priority, and we need the bar set very high, much higher than it has been, because timidity is going to squander our generation's resolve and resourcefulness. So all of us at Enterprise commend you for convening this hearing, and we're available to answer any questions. Thank you for the opportunity.